Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. So this is going to be the love and spirituality reading for earth signs, Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. And as always, I will be doing an extended video, so I will leave the link to that in the description box down below. Alright, so let's jump into it. I already meditated on your energy and I pulled cards for you. So for your overall energy, I got the Queen of Wands in reverse. So some of you are highly upset. I'm feeling a very aggressive energy from this Queen of Wands. And I feel like the upset is coming from some sort of realization that you've recently had, because the Innocence card is here in the reverse. So that lets me know that you had some sort of image of something that was very pure or very innocent, or you had some sort of like plan in your mind, and the reality of a situation is not what you thought it originally was. And so that is making you very angry, because it can be very devastating to face the reality of something that we thought was pure, or that we thought was innocent, or that we thought was, headed in a certain direction, and then it turns out that it's not. So underneath all of that aggression and that anger is grief. So some of you are kind of grieving the loss of something. You could be grieving the loss of a fantasy, like you had a fantasy about something or someone and things just did not turn out right, or you're seeing things clearly now, so that puts you in a state of grief. And when you're in that headspace, it's important for you to allow yourself to grieve. I know a lot of people try to bypass this emotion of grief, and they kind of skip straight to anger to mask the grief, and then they try to just move on from there. But it's important to allow yourself to grieve the loss of something. Even if it's the loss of what you thought something was, you still need to grieve it. Even if you have to pretend that fantasy was real and grieve it, do that. Like, for example, when you let's say you make a new friend, right? You befriend someone, you become very close with them, and then you discover that your friendship was built on a lie, or that this person has been deceiving you. So you're grieving the loss of who you thought they were as your friend, right? In order to grieve properly, you can even pretend that that fantasy friend that you had in your mind of them, that person was real, and that they have now passed on, and now you are grieving the loss of them. It will kind of help you to process your emotions. So you can kind of take that approach with anything when it comes to the loss of something that you actually cared about. Trying to bypass it is not going to help you. Masking it with anger is not going to help you. But anger is an emotion that you should allow yourself to feel as well, but don't use it to completely bypass the feeling of grief, is what I'm seeing. So I also see the Journey card here. So some of you are very anxious to move on, and that may not be wise, because again, you trying to move on or move past it, like, yes, that's a good thing. That's usually what people would encourage you to do, but not until you've processed everything. Like, imagine if you lost a loved one. No one would tell you, like, just hurry up and move on. Everyone would tell you, take your time, grieve the loss of it. You kind of have to take on that same process, or that same advice when it comes to whatever the situation is. I'm going to pull one more. 1 second. Okay, so I'm also hearing that for some of you, you're grieving the loss of what you thought. How do I explain this? Okay, because of everything that's been going on in the world, everything that's been going on in society, a lot of you have had sort of a harsh wake-up call about society, about the nature of human beings, about the government, just about a lot of things that are now coming to the surface that people are being made aware of. And that in itself is very shocking, or that in itself can cause you to have some grief, because you thought the world was one way and you thought human beings operated one way, and then it turned out to be a whole nother thing. It's like when you stumble across like those videos that kind of expose like the corruption that's going on in the world, and you're like, wow, like it just opens up your eyes. There is this level of grief that comes with that, because you really did think that the world was innocent, or maybe you didn't think the world was completely innocent, but you didn't think it was that crazy or that corrupt. So that in itself takes somewhat of a process to kind of work through and to grieve through. It's not something that you just automatically transition into, like, okay, well, I thought it was one way, but it's this way, so now I'm just moving forward. Some people can operate like that, but I'm feeling like for those of you watching this reading, you need a bit more time to kind of process everything, is what I'm seeing. I'm also hearing that for some of you, your anger is coming from the loss of a part of you that you felt was innocent, like the part of you that is able to see things in a way that is kind of childlike and pure. It's like you're upset and grieving the fact that you may not be able to see certain things that way anymore, which is, again, very, very valid. You just have to give yourself time, a lot of time and a lot of nurturing to kind of help you to adjust to this new way of thinking or this new reality. I'm also seeing that some of you are wanting to move. With the journey card being here, you're wanting to relocate because you feel like wherever you are right now, it's like lacking the support system that you need, and that may be very wise. That may be a wise decision for you to move elsewhere in order for you to get that nurturing or get that sense of community that's needed when you are going through, hard times like this. With the female in reverse card being here, I feel like wherever you are now, it's hard for you to practice self-care, or it's hard for you to be very gentle with yourself or have that nurturing energy towards yourself. I'm not sure why. It's something about the environment that you're in that's just making it very difficult for you to kind of heal or for you to recover. So some of you may be considering, moving away from your environment. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of loss here because I'm reading for a lot of different people. So this can apply to some people losing their jobs. If you lost a job recently, it's because you were meant to relocate somewhere else, is what I'm hearing. Because, okay, put it this way. When you are going through some sort of very, very heavy grieving process, the universe, spirit, God wants you to heal and is trying to help you to heal. But sometimes it has to work in mysterious ways to get you to heal. So one thing that could be stopping you from healing is the environment that you're in, but you could be stuck in your environment because maybe you have a job that you've been in for a long time and you don't want to leave it. And that is actually slowing down your healing process, the job that you're in. And so what will happen is that the universe will cause you to lose your job because it has actually been slowing down your healing process. And the universe, God, wants you healed. So if you've lost like a job recently or lost a lover, lost a friend, it's because whatever that was that you were attached to, it was actually making it very difficult for you to really focus on self so that you can recover from this loss that you experienced or from this grief that you are experiencing. It's very hard to recover from grief when you're in an environment that doesn't allow you to fully be connected with your emotions and to nurture yourself. And it makes it a million times worse when there are people around you who are basically adding on to the grief as opposed to helping you get through it. So if you lost something, I feel like it's the universe's way of helping you to pull yourself out of this grief, even though it may have seemed like, wow, I'm already grieving and then I lose this and I lose that. Those things were actually causing your grieving process to be prolonged, and so they were taken out of your life, is what I'm seeing. So for some of you, you've now been freed to relocate and to move somewhere else, or to get a new job, or to get a new apartment, something along those lines, because you're needing a new environment for you to nurture yourself in. So I'm also seeing the 8 of Pentacles, the Inner Voice card in reverse, and the Marriage card. Okay, so some of you are very much focused on the details of what has taken place to the point where you're not seeing the bigger picture, or you're not seeing what your intuition is trying to tell you about how to actually heal from the situation. Like sometimes when we are, okay, for example, you know how when we go through something and we are too close to the problem, so we're like going over the details and we are just fixated on the details, and then somebody comes along and they're like, oh, well, why don't you do this? And they just give you this solution that you would never have seen yourself, and you're like, why didn't I think of that? It's because you were too close to the problem. So I feel like that's what's happening here. It's almost like you're too close to the problem, to the point where a solution, like your intuition is trying to give you a solution, and I feel like you can't fully see it. What I'm seeing. Let me pull one more. Okay, so suddenly a lot of people's energy is coming up in this reading. So I feel like not only is it that you are too fixated on the details or you're too close to the problem, but also there's too much noise around you for you to really figure out what it is that your next step is. It's like people chiming in with their opinions, or it's like too many voices. You're overstimulated. This could be like you're spending too much time on social media and you're absorbing people's too many thoughts that are coming from other people. Like as you scroll down your timeline, you're like absorbing other people's words or their thoughts about whatever's going on in their own life, or maybe you're absorbing too much trauma on social media where people are expressing how they're feeling in world events and things of that sort, which nothing's wrong with that. But if you consume it too much, you can start to confuse their thoughts with your thoughts. So that's what I'm seeing is happening here. CM. I keep seeing the initials CM and TW. I'm not sure what that means. But yeah, it's too many voices. Too many voices. And I feel like with that many voices around, or too many people's opinions, or too many people's thoughts, it's almost like you don't know which direction to turn in. Like, for example, let's say that you go through a breakup and you're trying to figure out what's the best course of action for healing, right? So you go on social media, and then there's this one person that's talking about, like, yeah, whenever I go through a breakup, I just say, forget it, and I just go out and have fun, and I don't care about them. And you're like, yeah, maybe I should take that approach. And then you scroll down a little more, and it's someone like, no, honor your feelings, probably me on the timeline. No, honor your feelings. Don't bypass it. And you're like, okay, yeah, I should honor my feelings. And then there's someone else that's like, success is the best revenge. That's probably also me on the timeline. Success is the best revenge. And I just focus on my business, and I don't even think about that person anymore. And you're like, okay, maybe I should take on that. And it's like, too much chatter. Every person is going to be different when it comes to how they choose to heal from certain things and recover. So you have to kind of block out those noises, or block out everyone else's thoughts, and figure out what's best for you, like what method is best for you, because what's best for someone else may not be best for you in terms of, recovering. And it doesn't just have to be recovering from a relationship. This is like solving any problem. I feel any problem or any direction you're trying to go in life and you're stuck. It's just too much chatter, too much noise. Like, yes, you can go and get people's opinions, because again, if you're too close to the problem, you can't solve it. But at some point, after you've gotten their opinion, then you have to kind of sit with your own inner voice and figure things out. Even watching tarot readings would count as too much chatter. If you're watching too many different tarot readings, too many different, tarot readers giving you different, advice and viewpoints, it's fine to go and seek out that information. But at some point, you have to sit with your own intuition and figure things out for you, is what I'm seeing. All right. So those are the messages for the upcoming month, or things that you could be dealing with now and dealing with as the month continues on in the month of July. But tarot is timeless, and I do have to say this for those of you who are new. Tarot is timeless, so even though I say July in these videos, if you come across this video after July and it resonates, then it still applies to you. All right, so we're going to move on to the outer or the outside energy, and then we're going to move on to the extended. So the outside energy is basically the energy of a person or people outside of you who are basically impacting you the most energetically. There we go. I got stuck for a second. People who are impacting you energetically the most, because as we all know, on our spiritual path, we are not doing this alone. A lot of the time, our spiritual path is greatly impacted by people who we are connected to. So that's why I am reading the outside energy, and I have to give the disclaimer that if you feel like you have a codependent attachment to someone, it could be best for you to take a break from tarot readings and love readings and things like that, because it sometimes can mess with your energy and confuse you even further. So that's not my intention with reading this outside energy. It's simply to give you some insight into the people who are impacting you the most energetically on your path. Okay, so the outside energy, we have the Two of Pentacles in the reverse, we have the Dream card, and we have the Imprisonment card. Okay, so the Two of Pentacles in reverse lets me know that this person or these people, take it as it resonates. I'm just going to say this person just so it won't get confusing. This person is they don't have their priorities straight. Let's put it that way. Their priorities are not straight. It seems like they are over investing into one area of their life and neglecting another area as a result. I'm assuming that you could possibly be the one feeling neglected because they're putting a lot of energy and attention elsewhere, whether that be work or maybe they are being selfish and putting too much energy into their self. And yes, that is possible. I know that people say all the time, like, you know, you're supposed to be selfish and you're supposed to come first, and that's true. But how do you ever expect to maintain any type of healthy connections if it's all about you? Like, sometimes people are so self-focused to the point where, you know, it can become quite narcissistic. And I feel like that's, you know, that could be what's going on with this person. Could be a little too self-focused to the point where they treat you as an afterthought, or they treat you as, you know, not as a priority at all. But again, take it as it resonates, because this could be someone who's too focused on their job, or too focused on their friends, or too focused on other people at your expense, put it that way. Their priorities are just not straight. Their priorities are not in order. With the dream card being here and the imprisonment card in reverse, it's interesting because I feel like this person, they're very idealistic. I'm getting Pisces energy from them, like, very strongly. They don't have to be a Pisces, though. They're very idealistic. They have an idea of what they would want. So they want things to be balanced. They want things to be peaceful. But I feel like they have a hard time, you know, making that happen because of the fact that they are overextending in one area. I don't think they realize that they're overextending. I don't think they realize that they are being selfish in one area, or that they're focusing too much on their friends, or focusing too much on their work at your expense. It's almost like they are kind of oblivious to that fact, because they still are wanting some sort of harmonious connection with you. They want to have peace with you, but they're not understanding that their lack of being able to prioritize you is what's causing the imbalance. It's really bizarre. I'm going to pull one more card for that. Okay, so that makes more sense. I said it was bizarre because I'm like, how could they not, you know, see? But the awareness card came up, so this makes sense. They're lacking self-awareness. They're not aware that they are not prioritizing you as much as they should. Like, they're not, it could be like an issue of maturity is what I'm seeing. And it also could be one of those issues of you don't know what you got until it's gone. Like, they don't realize until you actually pull back. That could be what causes them to be self-aware, because it's like, yeah, there's this lack of self-awareness here. So it's like, I want peace and harmony. How come I can't have it? And they don't see that it's them. Like, it's like, you can't have it because it's you. You're not prioritizing, or you're not making the right things your top priority, you know? How it's impacting you. We have the Page of Wands in the reverse, Trust card, the Courthouse card. So, the Page of Wands in reverse lets me know that you no longer want to be on this adventure with them. I feel like when you first met this person or these people, at some point there was a lot of like optimism that came along with the connection. There was a lot of like, you know, let's start on this path together. Like, I'm excited to, you know, start this journey with you, right? There was like some sort of innocence to it. But slowly but surely, that innocence, something happened to it. You know, I feel like life just kind of happens. You know, you're in that honeymoon stage, and then boom, you're not anymore. And again, this doesn't have to be romantic. This could be friends. This could be family. Just take it as it resonates. Like, this could be a friend who you used to get along so well, and now things are just kind of, you know, off balance. But you're coming up as a bit pessimistic here. Like, you're no longer optimistic about the connection or the plans that you had. And I feel like the only thing now that's stopping you, or that's keeping you from kind of like distancing yourself from this person, would be your fear of the unknown. I feel like this person is kind of like very comfortable for you, because they could have been around you for a very long time, especially if this is like a family member. You could have been around them for a very long time. For some of you, I'm hearing that you were living with this person for a long time. So this could have been someone who you were dependent on, like a parent or something. I'm not saying necessarily that you're going to cut your parent off. I'm just saying, like, this could be an instance, where it's like you and your parents, or you're living with parents and you're not getting along well. And the only thing keeping you living at their house is the fact that you don't want to like be out in the real world on your own. You know, I'm just giving different examples just so people can see that it's not always, you know, a love reading about romance. It's sometimes about different things. Just, you have to take it as it applies. But, yeah, I just feel like the unknown is the only thing that kind of is keeping you stuck. And you may be being asked, you know, intuitively, by your intuition, I mean, to, take a leap of faith. To take a leap of faith and venture out into the unknown, especially if you're not being prioritized. And you're needing to make like a concrete decision about this. because I feel like you've been kind of fluctuating and not really making a concrete decision. But with the courthouse card being here, that's about making like a very concrete decision that, you know, you're fully invested in. So we're going to get more into this in the extended video. And then we are going to pull for your July do's and don'ts, like what you should do in the month of July and what you should not do, what you should stay away from. So thank you for watching, Earth Signs. I will leave the link to the extended in the description box down below. And I will see you over on the extended video. Bye.